Hello, welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Tonight we're speaking with Amanda Moseley in conjunction with her Cerulean Arts Collective Exhibition, which is on view now through February 9th. Hello, Amanda.
Hey, Mike.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, no worries.
Tell us about your show.
Yeah, there this is the first time I've actually had a show in the wintertime. I'm very much a summer person. The subjects that I like generally are around in the summer, flowers and animals. But I did work into the late fall, and a lot of my work is the cyanotype process. And so that's an iron salt photo based method. And, the quality of the light does affect the blues that you get. But, I worked through the fall into the early parts of winter. And, I it really opened my eyes to, the sorts of sights and, colors that those seasons have to offer. Um, so
So,
yeah.
Amanda, how does the process work?
So it's two different iron salts that are combined in water. The emulsion is applied to paper, although you can also do it on porcelain, most porous surfaces, fabric, stuff like that. And it's exposed to ultraviolet light. Some people like more of a photographic, like, how we would think of, just a black and white photograph sort of image. But I like to do photograms in the spirit of Man Ray, who was a, Dadaist photographer. So I'm putting, real objects down onto the paper, which has been coated with this photosensitive emulsion. And the UV light will then activate the iron salts. I will then develop the image in just plain water, and so you end up with a blue and white image. So the white is where the light has been blocked out. The blue is where the UV light has interacted with the iron salts, and you get a very beautiful, very rich Prussian blue as a result. I also like to combine the Van Dyke photographic process, and so similar, iron salts, but you end up with a brown and white image, and it has a little bit of silver halide in it, which is the salt that's in traditional black and white photography. So it does have to be fixed in a very dilute fixer. So if we remember darkroom photography, you expose, wash, fix, and you end up with a very permanent image.
Where did you learn it?
And so I learned it in college and art school. I specialized in printmaking and alternative photo processes. Before we had traditional black and white photography, scientists and artists were trying their best to figure out ways to reproduce photographic images, using a variety of other chemicals. This process was developed by Sir John Herschel, who was a British chemist, artist. I think he was also like a naturalist. And there was a female botanist named Anna Atkins, and she used this to reproduce images of ferns, algae, and other plants that were native to the British Isles. It was actually the first photographic book or first book of photographs. And, blue and white was before black and white.
Hmm. Hmm. So why do they call it Van Dyke Brown?
I think just because of the pigment. So, Van Dyke is a rich earth tone brown. Uh Although sometimes you end up with a more washed out brown. So this particular cyanotype with the Van Dyke brown emulsion ended up being a little more washed out because the paper was more absorbent. It didn't have sizer in it or any sort of barrier between the chemicals and the raw material of the paper.
And you mentioned the seasons are important to your practice. So it's nature that's an inspiration for you?
Yeah, nature is, the driving inspiration for all of my art. I'm very influenced by, the natural environment around me. I live on a biodynamic farm, which is so it's one step above organic farming. People that practice biodynamic farming try to incorporate all of the living things in harmony. So, you might have animals, plants, all living on the same property and, trying to balance the life forces amongst all of those creatures. So it's also, I guess, a very spiritual, method of farming. It has, you know, um, some definitely some practices that are a little bit different than typical organic farming.
And you have animals.
Oh yeah, we got all the animals. And yeah, my animals are a big source of inspiration for me. Um, and yeah, so up there is we unfortunately lost a pigeon this summer. So the beast of the air is the outline of our beloved pigeon. So I did a cyanotype of her and then we laid her to rest.
So when you start these, do you have an idea in mind, or does it come through during the process, or
So I do have an idea in mind. I do like the unexpected things that happen when I'm exposing, the things that I've coded to the elements. Like, for example, this particular image, it was Rick's old hiking boots. And the salt oxidized a little bit, I guess. I think there was a little bit of condensation in the frame that I used, the contact printing frame. So we ended up with some sort of uh, yellowish patches there. But I do have an idea of what I want to have happen and convey when I'm making these sand type images.
and do the titles come later, or do you have them in mind as you're working?
So titles come later. Although very occasionally I do have a title in mind, but for the most part, titles do come later. That's the more successful way to name these guys. And also, these are images about the passage of time. So, it is a photographic process, even though I'm not making necessarily, a very detailed or picturesque, image. It's about, the quality of the light, the changing of the seasons, uh, the rhythm to nature.
So what kind of setup do you need to make these? Do you need like a lab type situation, or like dark
No,
room?
so it's actually even though it is UV sensitive, it's not nearly as sensitive as traditional darkroom printing. So I usually coat this stuff just, after the sun goes down in my basement. The we don't have any windows down there. And then in the morning, just pull everything out and expose it. I usually rinse the images in our yard with a garden hose. I was explaining that to a gentleman at the opening. And yeah, just either lay them out to dry outside, or I also have a clothesline where I sometimes hang them to dry. Also the UV, like the blue is affected by how long you allow them to dry in the sun. So sometimes I'll leave them out for a little longer if I want a deeper Prussian blue. Sometimes I'll, pull them right when they're dry if I want a lighter blue. And certainly all of the plants are things that grow in my yard and on the farm. So nothing is purchased at the grocery store.
Mhm. So were you trained in darkroom photography?
I was, yeah. Although, I graduated and you know, never had very much access to a dark room again. I was just thinking I don't know how many places even have dark rooms anymore as far as like
Mm.
colleges go.
Right.
Um, but I always love the cyanotype process. A lot of people complain it's too blue, which I always felt was, a little silly. I mean, blue and white are beautiful.
Right.
And it's, a very versatile process. And it was also used to make blueprints. So architects used, the cyanotype process to reproduce architectural drawings for years until they were able to do that electronically. Um, so it also has this history that's steeped in industrial uses, which I like. I like taking something that, maybe was used for a more blunt purpose and making it more delicate and more creative. So I do enjoy doing that with the medium. But also, it's scientific history as well. So, I'm someone who's very interested in the natural world. I like that this is a process that many botanists and scientists use to reproduce images of specimens. Um, and it also has a lot of chemistry involved, and something that's always fascinated me as well. I, the juxtaposition of art and science has always been the most fascinating, thing for me, and has informed my practice, I think, my entire career.
It seems like a very holistic approach to connect your art making to your lived environment.
I think so. I haven't met very many other artists that do it that way. Uh, and yeah, these are actually very personal pieces. The paintings and oil pastel paintings. These are inspired by my animals. So my zebra finches. I was thinking, I've been listening to their song a lot because I've been working inside, and just, if I could distill what a zebra finch was like, just colors and the rhythm of their sounds, I feel like that would be that painting. And this is the blue aster painting. So just been having a lot of dreams about summertime, and we have so many asters that grow in and around the property. And of course, those attract butterflies, another subject that I'm, you know, um, very mesmerized by. And, in the beginning, so this like um, reddish image we're seeing, this is an automatic drawing in the tradition of the surrealists. So, no real subject, but just, allowed myself to make these marks and use these colors. And, just looking at it, it actually kind of looks a little bit like a butterfly wing. So, they're a constant source of inspiration for me.
Then did it feel different than working directly with pastel and gouache with these rather than the cyanotype, which is a little more process driven and indirect?
Yeah, so I mean, I do love the process driven stuff. I have a lot of printmaking experience in my past as well, but these were, a lot more free for sure. Um, and yeah, this one, I thought after allowing it you know, um, to appear, it looked like a caterpillar. Um,
It's called Mrs. Papillon.
So we're getting closer to Mrs. Papillion, and she's an
Papillon.
important parakeet in my life. So,
Ah,
right. So,
that's
yeah,
right. Here
Mrs.
she is.
Papillion is my oldest parakeet. And yeah, she's also very talkative. But these are all of her colors and markings. Um, um, uh,
It's appropriate, always flitting about.
yeah, right, always moving so fast.
Mhm.
Uh, and yeah, lights of this one I named the Lights of Advent. Around especially like in our little village, we try to keep most lights off, but just looking around in the wintertime, you can see like the little lights in people's houses. And they look like little candle lights.
It's a really wonderful show, Amanda.
Well, you guys have a really wonderful gallery.
Thank you.
Really wonderful eyes.
Well, it's a team effort. That's good. So the show is up through February 9th. We hope people come to see it. And everything's also available on our website, ceruleanarts.com. So thanks again, Amanda, for being here and have a great night.
Yeah, you too, Mike.